Oh my goodness, U.S. debt crisis worries, sour Davos optimism on global economy. We just recently had the global yield curve inverts. That has never happened since they started tracking everything. Yeah, they should be sour. They're trying to now sell us on a soft landing, sell us this bill of goods. This party is not over, and we are now in 2023. Part of what they're worried about is the debt ceiling issue. Are they going to raise the debt ceiling? Probably. I mean, I can't guarantee it, except probably. But what we don't know between now and when that actually happens is how much of an impact that's going to have. You might remember that in 2011, the U.S. credit rating was downgraded from AAA to AA. Are we going to see, with all of the problems that we have in cooperation amongst our government, Democrats and Republicans, are we going to see a thing like that again? Are they going to push it to the last second? Because we're already on extraordinary measures, right? And that can go on for a little while, I think until June. Is the most current date that I've heard Janet Yellen say. But, you know, this is really a game that they are playing with your wealth and keeping you in the system. Because when the stock markets and bond markets and real estate, when all these markets implode, if that's the only kind of wealth that you're holding, you can watch much of it evaporate. And who are you going to call? Who are you going to complain to? Nobody. You have to really become your own central banker. More than a decade, referring to 2011, after one debt ceiling standoff led to a sovereign U.S. rating downgrade, financial market turmoil, and a weakened economic recovery, political battle lines are again being drawn. And, you know, I've said this before, we have got the transition from LIBOR to SOFR issue that is supposed to be completed by the end of this month. We now have the biggest threat to our ability to do that, the CLOs. I've done, and maybe Edgar, you can put some links to the recent piece I did on CLOs in there. And CLOs are now starting to push back. We need a really big crisis before the middle of June to distract the fact that they really can't do it. And so when I see this kind of thing, I wonder, and others, I mean, we've talked about this, I wonder if this isn't an excuse to have that crisis, like, oh, who could see this coming? Well, a blind monkey can see it coming if you know what to look for, and that's my job, and that's why you need to subscribe, and that's why you need to be paying attention to the videos. And there's a lot of other talent out there as well. So there are many of us that can actually see this, and I'm glad that you're here watching today because you need to see it too and make choices that actually help you. Because frankly, this is not the way a political fight should occur. Markets haven't priced it in. No, they haven't priced any of this in. But what do? You open up your statement, and as long as things seem relatively okay, then you're okay. You're not okay. Ignorance does not make you immune. It just leaves you vulnerable. And what happens is that vulnerability spills over. Since 2017, and this is data as of January 10th, there have been over 400 significant anti-government protests worldwide. More than 132 countries have experienced significant protests. There's only 196 countries in the world. So, we're getting up there. 23% of significant protests have lasted more than 3 months. This was growing a lot prior to 2020. Then it got shut down. It's growing again. When people are hungry and hopeless, they make choices they would not otherwise make. And the last one, not the least one, 135 significant economic Anti-government protests have occurred since 2017. And I bet would be most of them happening in the last year. So this is growing when people come together in community and say, there's something fishy here. There's something that's not right here. And they come together. This is the biggest threat to those guys at Davos, to the guys that are in charge, to the central bankers, to the governments. And we've been watching governments be overthrown. They have to keep you having confidence that they can get us through this. But honestly, this is a currency life cycle issue. The fiat system that we have grown up with, well, it changed in 2008. That's when it died. And it's just been on life support until they can get the next system in place to transfer us into. Are you going to agree to a full surveillance economy? I'm not. And how do I vote with that? You say, well, what choice do we have? This is how you vote, guys. You make sure that you have food, water, energy security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. You become your own central banker. As a community, you band together to get through this mess. That's what you do.